We've got some tough questions for Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor, and the author of Trump's America. He joins us right now. Mr. Speaker, good morning to you.
Good morning. And by the way, you're really lucky to have Cardinal Dolan, who is quite a character and I think very charismatic.
Don't you think he'd make a great pope?
I think Americans would love it.
Right.
I think he would certainly be the most entertaining pope in modern times.
Yeah, we could use him entertaining from the Vatican.
And a great character.
Without a doubt.
That's right.
Hey, Mr. Speaker, we're going to talk to you about the big story out of Washington. Big question is whether or not there's going to be a government shutdown. Last week, the president made it very clear when he was talking to Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, he would be proud to shut down the government because getting a wall and the border security is so important, he would shut down the government. Now, it sounds like Mitch McConnell tried to float a couple of ideas in front of the Democrats. They wouldn't bite. There may be a continuing resolution which continues everything at the same levels until Nancy Pelosi takes over the House. It looks as if the Democrats are going to win on this. There will be no money for the president and his wall this time.
Well, I mean, they may win for 2 weeks, but I think the president's probably trying to get past the Christmas season. I've always thought, having been through shutdowns when I was Speaker, I don't think shutting the government down on Christmas Eve is a particularly big win for anybody. And I think it's a pain in the neck for the hundreds of thousands of families that are affected directly by it. So the president has not given up yet. And I do think the issue of whether the Democrats, you know, they're one really disastrous crime away from looking really bad. There are problems with people coming to the U.S. illegally. There are people who commit crimes who come to the U.S. illegally. MS-13 is a threat.
Right.
And I think for the Democrats to decide they don't want to protect America is a tough position for them to take.
But the problem is, Newt, I just don't know where the president's leverage is on this. Everything you say is logical. These Democrats are on the record supporting the positions the president has. All that being said, I don't see the leverage to get what he wants.
Well, I mean, his leverage ultimately, if he's prepared to do it, is to refuse to accept the appropriations bill. I could imagine getting to an agreement where they pass two separate bills, one for Homeland Security, which he refuses to sign, and the other for the rest of the government,
right,
which doesn't need to be in the middle of this fight, and gradually gets it down to a point. But the president has enormous leverage if he just, you know, if he says he won't sign it,
right,
they've got to get a 2/3 majority in both the House and Senate to pass anything. Well, and it's an interesting contrast. You know, you just reported a very big victory, a 20-year project where President Trump and Jared Kushner deserve a lot of credit because without their leadership, we would not have the criminal justice reform. I think you're about to see a very bipartisan bill on Alzheimer's go through. So it's not like they can't get things done if they want to. The Democrats think it's to their advantage to posture against security. The president thinks it's very much his responsibility to protect Americans. That's a real fight, and I don't know that he minds dragging it out for a while.
Okay.
Is it something
so
he just needs
a series of 2-week agreements?
Is it something he just needs to give up on, though? Because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are never—they're never going to budge. They're not going to compromise. Maybe this was his opportunity to compromise, but if he can't get it done now, when Republicans have the House and the Senate, is he ever going to be able to do it?
Well, again, I think part of it is I suspect he believes that every week that he's talking about security for Americans and they're posturing against protecting the border, I think he thinks he's probably winning in the long run.
All right,
yeah.
Mr. Speaker.
I don't think he's particularly bothered by this.
Well, you know what? He tweeted just about 25 minutes ago. I dropped my Twitter machine here. The president tweeted, "In our country, so much money has been poured down the drain for so many years, but when it comes to border security and the military, the Democrats fight to the death. We won on the military, which is being completely rebuilt. One way or the other, we will win on the wall." But you know what, Mr. Speaker? Realistically, it looks like he has lost on the wall because unless he says, no, I'm not going to sign that thing, and there's a government shutdown, there are a lot of people who heard him last week who drew that line in the sand and said, this is where shutting down, and if there's not a shutdown, he's going to look like a loser.
Well, if he accepts a 1 or 2 week extension, I think that's hardly caving in. And I think that we'll see how this plays out. Notice what he just said, as you pointed out, 25 minutes ago. And he's going to come back again and again. The Democratic Party is refusing to protect Americans. And presently, every time somebody who's here illegally kills somebody, it's going to show up, and the president's going to say, this is because the Democrats refuse to protect Americans. Right. I don't know that that's a good position for them to look out to 2020 as a party that doesn't want to protect America.
Yeah, all right, let's talk about Mike Flynn. I could not believe what took place yesterday. As we hear and chronicle behind closed doors, it opened up with an eight-minute rant by the judge as he reads out all of Flynn's transgressions. He mistakenly says that his conduct was treasonous. He betrayed America, and then they were going to defy the recommendations from the prosecution. It looks like he was heading towards incarceration. How do you explain the behavior of Judge Sullivan?
I have no idea what happened to the judge. That was not his reputation. And I think a lot of people who admire him were shocked by that performance. And a lot of what he said was just nonsense. And it's a little worrisome to have a judge go off the deep end like that and think this guy has the power of virtually life and death. Who knows what he's going to do to General Flynn now. But I thought it was a pretty frightening. If you have prosecutors who are overzealous and they're pushing the limit, putting people in solitary confinement for months on end, and you have a judge who goes off the deep end, I think that's pretty scary about the nature of freedom for most Americans.
You got it wrong. Go ahead.
It comes down to the judge's decision, right? Even though the recommendation is for 0 time behind bars, it's all up to one person, the judge, right?
It is, and although he probably could be appealed, and given that rant, I would not be at all surprised to have Flynn's lawyers preparing to move to a different judge, because that was wild. I mean, I've never seen any judge quite lose it that badly.
And there's so much at stake, too. He got it wrong. At one point, he accuses Flynn of acting as an unregistered agent of a foreign country while serving as national security advisor. His issues as a private individual was he signed a lobbying contract for to represent with Turkey.
The judge got the timeline wrong.
Yeah, got the timeline wrong. He says your conduct is treasonous, and then he goes sorry. He apologizes later. I could not even understand this. When you unnerve the prosecution, I think you've done something substantial.
Look, as I said, I'm a little surprised that they don't move just to take the case away from him, because, I mean, when a guy comes out and says that kind of stuff and then says, you know, I really didn't mean it. Right. I don't think that's somebody I want to have. I wouldn't want to have him judging me or anybody I know with that kind of attitude.
Do you know how easy is it to change judges? If his team doesn't like this guy, and it's pretty easy.
No, not changing judges.
I don't know if you can change, but again, this is almost unprecedented to have a judge say these kind of things in a position of sentencing. So I don't know what the appeals court or the Supreme Court would say.
One of his questions was, "Are you done cooperating?" Really? You don't know ahead of time that he's not done, that this is what he recommended, that they've given substantial cooperation? Oh, since you're not done cooperating, we'll just push this to March. What is this guy, just winging it?
Well, I mean, you do get the sense he must have had a bad morning. I mean, you know.
We all have those.
I mean, but it's scary if it's a person who has the power of life and death, and they have a bad morning. That's, I think, pretty frightening. For me, average Americans have to look at this and look at the woman who was kept in solitary. You know, she was in solitary confinement for 5 months, when the crime she was charged with has a 6-month sentence.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Speaker.
That's how bad they were squeezing her.
Thank you very much for joining us this week before Christmas.
Merry
Christmas to you
Merry
and the
Christmas.
ambassador. Thank you very much.